What's up YouTube, Daryl here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am bringing you an update to Necroz post Ghost from the Past. So this is where they get the brand new Necroz of Reader Hair, and this one is actually giving the deck a monster negate, which is great. This is a build massively helped by Carl as well, so shout out to him. We kind of did a lot of analysis going back and forth between like the Drytron version, the hand trap version, but this one ultimately gives you the most to play through and the most to play with at the competitive level as well. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content. Throughout this entire week we will have updates and introductions for all of the brand new decks coming out of Ghost from the Past. So with all of that out of the way, let's get into today's profile, and I'll also put a link in the description below to my old profile which has the combo in it as well. So we've got triple Necroz of Yugioh, pretty straightforward on this one. This one, as soon as it hits the board, turns off all of the monsters from the extra deck, including your own, so keep that in mind. But what you kind of want to use this for is go in second, turn off all of your opponent's Dragoons, or as long as they, or the second they let Kaleidoscope or anything go through, Yugioh isn't an activated effect. So as soon as he hits the board, straight away everything gets nuked or negated. That then allows you to play. Alternatively, it is another card that you can put on the board as well going first that can deter your opponent. The only issue is, unless you're playing something like the Heavy Armory, which we don't in this build, or of course you've got the Valk, you're not going to be able to protect this from battle. Like 23 is no longer a really big issue to deal with because your opponent can just special summon from the extra deck but just not use their effects and then just smash over Yugioh and then do everything in main phase 2. But what you do want to be using is you do want to be using his effect to discard him to add a Necroz back from the grave. So that allows you to loop your Valk, that allows you to loop your Brionac, your Cassius, and of course the Abrid Hair as well. So that's more what you want to use Yugioh for, and that's why it's great at having it at free. Then of course we've got the Searchers. You've got triple Brio and then double Class. Now these pretty much share the exact same kind of thing. The idea is that Brio you discard and then you get to add a Necroz monster from your deck to your hand. So if you want to be making the new Abrid Hair and you've got that in board or you've got it in hand, then you'll go for a Shurit. If not, probably what you're going to be doing is you're going to put Brio in the graveyard, then search out a Class. Class is then going to be discarded to add you a Necroz spell or trap that we still don't have from your deck to the hand, and what that's going to allow you to do is that's then going to allow you to put 2 Necroz in the graveyard that can be used as fodder using Cycle, but it can also be used to get to the monsters that you need and fill up your graveyard as well. Then for the one-offs, of course, we've got the 1 Necroz of Trishula, the 1 Necroz of Valkyris, and the 1 brand new Necroz of Abrid Hair. Now, Trishula and Valk, basically all 3 of these you only need at 1 because they're high level monsters. Now all of these actually share the same effect that they can't be ritual summoned using a single leveled monster. So what we mean by that is you can't ritual summon Trish with a level 9, you can't ritual summon Valk with a level 8, and you can't ritual summon Abrid Hair with a level 10. So you need to be using multiple monsters in order to do that. I'm just going to do this for order purposes, so it goes 8, 9 and 10. So the ways you're summoning these guys out, more so for these 2 you can use Kaleidoscope, but this guy you're only ever really going to be able to use Circle or use any of your ritual spells with a Shurit. So it's a little bit more difficult to get out, but the idea is that once you've got him out, not only have you now got a beta that is above 3000, because before that your highest was Valk at 29, but you also have a card that is, when a monster effect is activated, quick effect, you can tribute 1 monster from your hand or field, negate the activation if you do banish that card. Now, not only does it banish, but it also allows you to tribute as well. So this is where it's good for something like Cyber Angel Ben 10, because if you haven't used it in the previous to build up the combo, you can tribute it and that will then get you a fairy monster. But if you do play other cards as well that are like, if this card is tributed, get additional effects, then that's where you can get more bonuses from it. But in this particular version, the way you want to do it is you want to be able to open up with it, or you want to be able to get to it first before you start your main combo of the Despots. And that's when you're then going to drop the Abrid Hair, and the Abrid Hair is going to protect your entire combo from that point on, from the Birus, Ashes, and stuff like that. Of course, Trish is the need a card in grave, field, and hand to banish 1 from each, but this is your aggressor, this is your defender, and then this is your pure on negator. So you've got a very nice balance of each. The final ritual monster is, of course, the 1 Cyber Angel Ben 10. Even though it's at 1, you'd only ever play it at 1. It's part of the combo, you search it off of Herald, and then what you get to do from that point on is you're then able to tribute off Ben 10 as ritual fodder to bring back the Brionac. That will then trigger off Ben 10 to allow you to get into your Archlord Christia. For the final Necroz, you do play the one Shurit. You only really need to use it once, because the fact is you can use this effect in Grave as well, which allows him to cover the total levels. Now, for those of you that are new to Necroz, the reason that this works is because technically it's not a level 8, 9 or 10. It's actually a level 3, but it allows it to use itself as the full ritual cover, which is why you can cheese out your Bridhair, the Valkyris if you ever want to, and of course your Benten. The other effect I should probably mention on the Bridhair is that you can discard this card and then tribute up to 2 Necroz monsters from your hand and or field, and if you do, send that many Necroz cards from your deck to the graveyard. Now, as of right now, in my opinion, that effect, I don't see why you would resolve that effect or why you would actually play that effect. So that's something to keep in mind, that it's not something that you need to really worry too much about. But obviously, sure, once it's used as tributed by a card effect, you get to add a Warrior Necroz, so that gives you your class or your Brionac. It can also now add you the Bridhair as well. So if you were to use this effect, or if you were to tribute Shurit to, I don't know, maybe make out Valk or bring out Unicorn or anything like that because you've opened it, you could then get out the Bridhair, and then if you've got Cycle, you can just use Cycle to banish Shurit from the graveyard and bring out your Bridhair. So it gives you a couple of different options to get to it. But the one most important thing you do need to keep in mind is you only really need one. You can play Reinforcement of the Army because it can search you out Classius and the Shurit, but we've gone for a bang-on 40-card deck. And like I said, because we do run the Despot engine, and I spoke with Carl about this, we ummed and ahed about it and how relevant it is. The fact it's one card and it can get you so far is amazing. So speaking of which, of course, we do play the Despot engine of 0003 and 0001. Now, if you haven't seen the combo, I'll try and put it in the end of this video as well. But the whole idea of this is through Despot 003, on his own, he will then allow you with full combo to pretty much draw and search. So you get to search 3 times off of the Heralds. You'll also get to replenish your hand with 2 additional cards. Not to mention that if you wanted to, you end up with even more draws if you go one route. But in this particular route, you're going to end up with a Crystal Wing, a Savage Dragon, a Aurora Dawn, and that's before you even touch the other cards in your hand that you've used to ritual summon monsters with, or even if you get in a Bridhair early on. So what it provided you was just too much to not use. The only downside is you do end up playing a lot of bricks in this, in the sense of, like, you want to open up your Despot 003, Despot 001 plus an extender still gets you full combo, but you do run the one brick of like a Cult Wing. You have to play Veiler specifically in this deck as well. So it does give you a couple of like things to think about. Plus, because you go through so much of your extra deck, you can't really play Extravagance or Prosperity. So if you wanted to cut the Despot engine, you could do. That's where you'd put in even more hand traps, and that's where you could put in Pot of Prosperity to up your consistency. But because the Necroz search themselves out, the only thing you're really digging for is the Dogmatika engine, or of course the Despot 003. Speaking of the one-offs, of course, we do run the one Christia and the one Cult Wing. Now, obviously, Cult Wing is part of the combo to get you there, but again, Christia is part of the end board. Now, the end board, because it ends with 2 Omni Negates and a Christia, the only way your opponent is getting through this is playing Droplets and being only able to play with 2 cards left in their hand, or they open up a Dark Ruler no more. Keeping in mind that this whole board comes from one card, that your entire hand could still be protected. If you go for a Valkyrus, not to mention if you put the Bridgehair on the board as well, you're then getting 5. They then need to drop all of their cards bar 1 off of a Droplet. So you still put them in a very tough situation. For the hand traps, we've got triple Ash Blossom, most generic card right now. You can put Imperms in, entirely up to you. And then the double Effect Veiler. So not only is it hand trap, but it's actually important for the combo, because what you do is you actually end up making a Synchro level 7 in Riser Dragon, and then with Riser Dragon you send Effect Veiler to reduce its level to a 6, and then what you do is you use Riser Dragon plus Brionac to make an Ultimate Zulkin, set the ritual spell that you searched, that will then give you a Crystal Wing. For the Dogmatika package, you do play triple Ecclesia, and I've cut it down to only the one Philidius in this. So the idea is that the first time I get to Ecclesia, I'm actually probably going to go for the trap over anything else, because my board will be pretty built. I would have already gone through my extra deck that there's nothing more that I need to summon for it. So going for punishment is not the bad idea. So you'd go for punishment, set it. The only time that becomes bad is if your opponent opens up like a Dark Ruler no more and like a back row hate. And that's where Philidius will probably be a little bit better for you. But then what you do is the second Ecclesia then searches you out the Philidius, and the Philidius then becomes a free beta that hits on the board and starts beefing up your Ecclesia to 2k and beefing himself up to 3k as well. You can play Maximus. I've specifically not done that because of the Synchro version that we're playing. There's not actually a lot of extra deck monsters that are free to get rid of. But with Maximus, what you'd ideally do is you put Maximus in there, and then you can start sending your Heralds off of that rather than using it to go through the combo that we do. Then, of course, for the Dogmatikas, you want to be playing Triple Nadir Servant. The card's just bonkers. The only downside of this is you can't actually send Herald because its attack is too low. But when you're activating the Deer Servant, what you're probably going to end up sending is Titaniclad. That's one of your best ones because then you search out Ecclesia, and then Titaniclad in the end phase will search you out a Philidius. And then what you're doing from that is you've pretty much got Ecclesia plus Punishment plus Philidius, not to mention your one-card combo that you've been able to build your entire board up to, and then drop a Christia at the end as well. So you do have a lot of plays through that. And then even during your opponent's turn, you can send Natis, and you can also send Five-Headed Dragon. Then, of course, we've got triple Preparation of Rites, because not only can this loop your ritual spells back from the grave, but the idea is it basically says add Classius, add Brionac, add Benten, add Yugioh. It covers the majority of your ritual monsters that are your utility cards to either recycle from the grave, get from the deck, so on and so forth. So maxing out on this is a must. For the ritual spells, for the Necroz anyway, we've got double Kaleidoscope, double Cycle, and the single Mirror. This is pretty standard for the ritual spells right now. The only one that I would consider is you could arguably try and consider cutting one of these down. Mainly for the new ritual is the reason I've got 2 Cycle in here, but you could arguably cut the Cycle down 1 if you wanted to. Kaleidoscope, again, could also arguably be cut down because we're playing such a heavy, like, ritual summon from the extra deck kind of plays. It's very rare that you're resolving Kaleidoscope using its effect from the extra deck. You will do it once or twice, but unless you're spinning back Heralds, and unless you're spinning back your other cards as well, which you can do with Christia, keep in mind, is you're not going to be able to resolve this as consistently or as quickly. So again, I would probably cut Kaleidoscope or Cycle down if you want to, and that's only if you want to be putting an additional card into the deck as well. And then for the final card, we do have the Dogmatika Punishment. I only got it at 1. Again, because we burn through so much of the extra deck using the combo, that's probably where Punishment isn't as consistent. But you're never going to send Natis unless you're going second and you want to use Kaleidoscope. But even then, I'll probably still try and send Herald. So you want to be using Natis with Punishment. Titaniclad is your other card through Punishment. And the Five-Headed Dragon is another card through Punishment. Just to make sure you get over any monster that is, you know, above 25 technically is the next big thing. So with Five-Headed Dragon, not only can it be used as Kaleidoscope to get you a 8 and a 4 or a 9 and a 3, but it can also be used to send with Punishment to destroy any monster of 5,000 or less attack, basically. So that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. So we'll run through the XYZs, then we'll go into the links, and then we'll go into the Synchros because they take up most of the space. So for the XYZs, you've only got Toad and you've got Daguerres. So Toad is going to be sent off of whether it be Dogmatika Punishment, sorry, I get everything, Punishment, or of course off of the Deer Servant. This will then allow you to recycle one of your Necroz because they are water. The Daguerres is actually important for the combo because the idea is you're going to overlay 2 Heralds for Daguerres. Use Daguerres' effect, whether you want to be using the special summon or whether you want to be using the draw 2 ditch one. You then get 2 searches off of the back of the Heralds as well, so it gives you a lot more to play around with. For the links, again, we only played 2 on this one. So we're playing the 1 Halley Firebrax and the 1 Auroradon. This is obviously the Despot combo. This gets you so far, it's crazy. I know it's not seeing a huge amount of play right now, but to be fair, for a Necroz deck like this, that's not a bad thing. It means they'll probably stay around a little bit longer. If you're completely opposed to the Despot engine, you're taking these out, then again, these can become more the Deer Servant Dogmatika targets, and they can also become more different levels, so like Star Eaters, your Star Eaters, your Omegas and stuff like that you can then help using with your Kaleidoscope, and that will allow you to get more ritual monsters on the board. For fusions, playing 1 Titaniclad, 1 Natis, and 1 Five-Headed. Already really talked about Five-Headed. Not only can it be used as Kaleidoscope because it's a level 12, but it can be used as a 5k pop off of Punishment. Natis is a double pop off of Punishment, and then Titaniclad is once it's sent, during the end phase, you'll either get to Special Summon, or you'll get to search a Dogmatika monster. So that's going to either give you Philidius to the board, or ideally you're going to put Ecclesia to the board, because then Ecclesia can then get Philidius to your hand. For the Synchros, of course, is a ritual deck, so Triple Herald. Very rarely you're actually going to put this on the board as a like, you do put it on the board as you make your plays, but it's rare you're going to leave this on the board. The idea is that as you're making your plays, you do make a herald. If your opponent was to try and Nibiru you or interrupt you, you do lose the herald, which does then mean you do need an extender to continue the combo. But at multiple points throughout this combo, you do end up with monsters on the board that can help you negate your opponent's Nibirus or any form of interruption at certain points. The one Quandrax, now the Quandrax is specifically for the Synchro version which we're playing. If you're not playing the Synchro version, you take out Quandrax, and you can probably also take out Sulkin alongside Crystal Wing, because then what you end up replacing them with is stuff like Degusto Emerald to shuffle 3 back and draw 1, and then you go for more draw power. And then of course we've got Rise of Dragon. Like I said, part of the combo, send Veiler, make this a 6, overlay, Synchro this with Brionac to make your Sulkin. Savage Dragon, make Savage Dragon, equipped it with a Halley Firebrax from the graveyard. That then gives you a 2 counter Omni Negate on Savage. Crystal Wing, set a card, summon it off of the back of Sulkin. And then of course Sulkin itself, just being a powerhouse that helps get you here. Now there are routes if you wanted to. Keep in mind, you're only going to Synchro into a 7. So it's a little bit difficult to make Mud Dragon, to then do Mud Dragon with Sulkin to make Dragoon. But there are ways of doing it, you just have to play a little bit differently. Personally, I think this build, in my opinion, has worked wonders for me, and it's also worked wonders for Carl. It puts in a lot of work. I've been testing it with the new Abrid Hair. Abrid Hair offers, like I said, it just offers that another line of protection, which is really, really nice for the deck and kind of gets it going. So what we're going to do is I'm going to reset the board state, and then I'm going to show you the 1-card combo that pretty much gets you through this entire board. I have done it before in a previous profile, but I might as well have it all in one place for you guys as well. So back in a second. Okay, so the 1-card combo, very simple. Tell me if you've seen this one before. I'm going to blitz through the standard plays and then go through in more detail the rest of the combo. So obviously, all you need is Despot 003. You're going to have 4 other cards in your hand. Normal summon your Despot 003. Use the effect to special summon out your Despot 001. Now, if 003 is interrupted, then all you need is you still need to get a tuner to the board. That's where, if this gets interrupted, it gets a little bit more difficult because there's no other way of getting a tuner to the board. But that's where you can start using your Dogmatika package, and you can fall back on the Necroz package itself. Obviously, if you open up a way of getting a Bridgehead to the board, perfect, because then you put that on board, you're able to protect moving your plays forward. The combo can also be done with Despot 001 plus an extender, because again, all you're ultimately trying to do here is get into Halley Firebrax. So, you can link these two together, go into Halley Firebrax. You're going to special your second Despot 001 from the deck. You're then going to use your Despot 001 plus your Halley Firebrax, and you're going to go into Auroradon. Auroradon is going to go 1, 2, 3 tokens, and your 2 Despot 001s in the graveyard are going to go, cool, more than 2 machines are summoned at the same time. I suppose I summon myself. So you bring both of those out, and what you want to do here, as these are both level 3s, is you're going to link these together with, of course, the Despots separately, keep that in mind, to make 2 Heralds. Now, again, if your opponent was to, I don't know why they would attempt to Nibiru you here, they probably would have done it beforehand, but if they try to do it here, you can use a Herald, but then what you do need is you do need another level 4 in order to continue the combo, because what you're ultimately trying to do here is you're going to overlay these two, and you're going to go into a Daguerres. You can then use Daguerres' effect, and by using Daguerres' effect, you're going to get both of the Herald effects going off, basically. Now, you can use the draw 2 ditch one, but what you actually want to do is you want to bring back your Despot 001, because by bringing back the Despot 001, and this is where it alters from the draw version and the draw version and the synchro version. Then what you want to do off of the back of the 2 heralds is you do want to get double search off of that. So what you ideally want to be aiming for is you want to be aiming you want to be aiming for your Brio, and you want to be aiming for any kind of ritual spell, but Cycle is probably the best one you want to go for in this scenario. So you've got these back in your hand. Just keep that in mind. Then what you want to do is you want to use your Despot 001 and the final token. Again, as it is a level 3, you can now make a Synchro 4. And guess what we're going to go for? That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go for our 3rd Herald of the Arc Light. So again, at this point, if they wanted to Nibiru, you have to trigger it off the Herald, and you would still need a extender. But what we're going to do here is, again, you're going to use your Auroradon's effect. You're going to pop both your Daguerres and your Herald, and this is going to summon out your Cult Wing. Wherever Cult Wing is. There we go. Now, obviously, from this point, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up triggering Cult Wing, but you're also going to trigger the Herald. Now, from the Herald, what you want to do is you can add your Ben 10. Now, it's probably the best time to do so. Where are you, Ben 10? There we go. So you're going to add your Ben 10 to your hand. Again, keeping in mind that you still have 4 more cards in your hand. This is all coming from pretty much nothing. You're then going to be using Cult Wings effect. Cult Wings effect, I believe it gives you 2 tokens if I remember correctly. Yeah, so this gives you 2 tokens. Because 2 or more machines are summoned at the exact same time, guess what happens? That's right, both Despot 001s come back to the board. So you've ended up just pretty much looping to get your ritual monsters. If you already have half the ritual monsters in the hand, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. You're just going to be searching out the pieces. So if you've already got the Ben 10 and the Brionac and stuff like that in hand, then what you want to be doing is you want to be going out and searching for stuff like your Bridhair. You want to go for your Valkyries, because then at least you know you're not going to get hit with a battle phase the next turn. And you want to go a little bit more defensive. Then what you want to do is you want to use your Despot 001 plus a token and go into a Crystron Quandrax. Keep in mind that this is actually level 7 at this moment in time, because it gains a level for the same levels as the tokens on the board. So you do have to be very, very careful not to synchro it off just yet. This is still a level 3, so you've also got to keep that in mind as well. So what we want to do here is you now want to use the level 7 and the level 1 Despot 001, and you want to go into your Savage Dragon. So by going into your Savage Dragon, what that now does is it now gives your opponent a last chance saloon, still have 4 cards left in your hand to Nibiru you or stop you. If they don't do that, then you're just going to go, right, cool, kill it to Halley Firebrax. From this point on, you're not stopping it. They would have tried to do it beforehand, or I would like to think your opponent tried to interrupt you beforehand, but this is like the break point. This is it. Not at no point past this combo can your opponent win, unless they've ended up going imperm onto this, but then again, I don't know why you would wait that late. So then what you want to be doing here is you want to be using your Quandrax with, of course, your token, and what that's going to allow you to do, that is going to allow you to go into a Riser Dragon. Now, obviously, you've got your Circle and you've got your Ben 10 in your hand as well. So you're going to use these 2 to go into a Riser Dragon. Where are you, Riser? There we go. Another nice synchro. And then what you want to do here is you want to be able to use Brionac's effect to ditch itself and send it to the graveyard and just set up your cycle. And what that's going to allow you to do is that's going to allow you to get your Classius. Now your class can then ditch itself to add another copy and pretty much keep you going on that route anyway. But what you ideally want to be doing is you want to be able to use Cycle, because then Cycle is going to allow you to tribute and revive from the graveyard. So you're going to be able to tribute the Ben 10 in the hand, and that's going to allow you to revive the Brionac. Brionac's obviously going to be a level 6. You want to use the effect of shooting Riser to make him a level 6 by sending your Effect Veiler. There we go. Just brighten up the... There we go. And then what you want to do, if you've already got a ritual spell in hand, then you don't need to use class. But if you don't, you do need to ditch class to get to a ritual spell as well, just so you've got something to set for your Ultimate Zolkin. Now keep in mind, I'm just resolving Ben 10 to get the Archlord Christia as well. So now what we've got here is you've got a level 6 tuner and a level 6 monster, and you want to sync these 2 together to go into your Ultimate Zolkin. Then what you can do is you can set your Necroz Mirror. This will then trigger to special summon out your Crystal Wing. If you're trying to dodge Lightning Storm, put it in defense. Entirely up to you. Now, at this exact moment in time, if you were to literally just stop here, you've got 4 more cards left in your hand, plus the Christia that we still have. And then in the graveyard, you've got 1 fairy in Ben 10, and then you've got 3 fairies in, of course, your Herald. So you've got the exact 4 fairies you need in the graveyard. Now from the remainder of your 5 cards in hand, if any of those were part of the Dogmatika package, you start that up. Ideally, that's where you want to go for the trap more than anything else. Because by going to the trap, you then don't take up both the zones. And ideally what you're then ending on is you're then ending on a Crystal, a Savage, Sulkin, which is slightly protected as well, plus your Auroradon. Keep in mind, Auroradon can pop cards during the next turn. But then you'd also end up with a Christia. But before bringing the Christia down, you would then have a Ecclesia, and your Ecclesia would then have the trap card. So then through all of that, and not to mention if you've ended up using Nadir's Servant, then you'll have a Titaniclad in the hand as well. So your whole board is absolutely nutty. And like I said, there's no way that your opponent's actually able to break this. So still 4 cards in hand, so just 4 random cards. Plus you've got the cycle set. So even before Christia, if you've got the ability to use, not the cycle, sorry, the mirror. If you've got the ability to use the mirror, if you've got the ability to use Kaleidoscope, you can do. The only card you don't want to put on the board is Unicorn, because then Unicorn says no, no, and no, which would be a little bit silly. But you've still got 4 cards in hand, 3 fresh hand. And like I said, if any of this is the Dogmatika engine, you're completely set. And even if not, you've still got another Veiler in hand, or another Veiler in the deck. plus Ash Blossoms, plus a Valkyrus. So if at any point as well, like I said, if you've opened up with the Benten, if you open up the Brio, the class, you actually just end up going for a Valk, because then it means that even if your opponent Dark Rulers this, and then attempts to try and attack you, you just go Valk, and then the battle phase. And then they're like, right, okay, cool. I've now got to deal during the next turn with a Crystal Wing negate, a Savage negate, and I can't, like, I'll be able to special summon, but because I haven't got rid of Christia, neither of us can special summon from this point on. So it really does put them in a bad situation, because then all you need to do, let's say they make a Dragoon, for example. All you need to do is you just go, right, okay, Crystal Wing, attack. The only downside you have, or the only negative, is by having Christia on your board, you can't special either, which means you can't make your ritual summons. So you do have to be quite careful when you play Christia, but you then still have plays. Now, if you didn't want to go Christia, the other option you could do is you could go for Vanities, but by going for Vanities, then what you're having to do is you're then having to tribute your Sulking and your Phantom Knight, but you won't be able to do that till your next turn because you've used your normal summon on the Despot. So a lot to consider, but in my opinion, this is the best version of the deck. It's just so strong. Like, this combo is so nuts from one card. From one card, you've ended up getting 3 searches. And like I said, if you wanted to use the Daguerreo's Draw, if you wanted to go for the draw version, then you would take out most of the Synchros and you'd go for that route. And then if you've got Prosperities, you can do that as well. I would like to say this is budget, but I think technically it is, because the cards that we've gone through in the extra deck aren't crazy high. The cards we've gone with the main deck, excluding the Dogmatikas, aren't crazy high. So if you wanted to, you could actually do this entire combo and this entire play on a bit of a budget. Because, I mean, what? The most is Crystal Wing at 20 quid. The rest of the extra deck, this is the extra deck you don't use in this combo. So if you wanted to, these are 4 cards that can be whatever you want. If you take out the entire Dogmatika package as well, that then becomes even more budget, because the rest of the deck can just be then hand traps. So it could be Ghost Ogres, it could be Bells, you can put in more draw cards like Extravagance if you've got them, Prosperities if you've got them, Desires if you really want to, but you want to make sure you search through your pieces before you activate your Desires. And it's just nuts. Absolutely nuts. Which is why I think this is the best version of the deck, in my opinion. Anyway, I hope you like this. I hope this helped. I hope the combos helped. I hope the profiles helped. I hope it's given you an idea. This is if you want to go full competitive. If you want to go pure Necroz, then you'd put in Gungnir, you'd put in Heavy Armor, and you'd take out the Dogmatika package. I'd still even attempt to use the Despot engine. Like I said, it's budget. It's not actually breaking the bank. And it gets you so far. Plus, it's a massive deterrent. Like, straight away, if your opponent goes to Ash or Imperm this, it then means that your Unicorn or your future plays from that point on are going to go through. So yeah, I think that's really kind of cool. I think the deck is awesome. I've loved Necroz since day one, and it's a massive help that Carl now knows exactly what he's doing with Necroz as well. So he's helped kind of inspire builds like this and get the builds together. But for now, as absolutely always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, so you do not miss out on any more of the brand new upcoming content from Ghosts of the Past this week as well. With that out of the way, as absolutely always, guys, stay safe and happy dueling.